Hello everyone, my name is Yashvi Sharma and I am B.Tech CSE student with specialization in AI and DE. And today I'm going to talk about my project of DBMS, that is Database Management System, and my topic is AIRBNB. Before starting with, I would like to explain what exactly is AIRBNB. So AIRBNB is a marketplace that connects people who need a place to stay with other people who have extra space to rent. So it's like a popular alternative to traditional hotels, and it offers a very unique and affordable accommodation around the world. Now, I'm making a DBMS project. So, what exactly DBMS is? DBMS stands for Database Management System, and it is like a software application that helps you organize and store and manipulate data in a very structured way possible. Now, I would like to explain some components of DBMS. So, one of them is entity. So, like entity is like a real world object or a concept that lets you store some specific kind of information in database. So, it can be a person, a event, or a thing, or an activity. For example, you want to go to a bookshop. So, the book uh, names are like entities, or book uh, authors are like entities because it lets you store information about these author or the names of the book. Moreover, the another component of database management system is attribute. So attributes are like property or characteristics that describe the entity. So they can provide you details about entity and helps you distinguish it from other entities. Now, last is the relationships. So, relationships are like connections or association between these two or more entities that helps you relate to the entity, like how they are related and why they are related. So, my project is on DBMS. So, DBMS project. So, as I told, the first uh, component of database management is entity. That is, it is like a block of information on some real life example or object. So in this project, in Airbnb project, the entities are mm, as follows. So the first entity is user. So user are the one, user are like you and me, the person or the people who will use these platform or these apps. So the users are the people who will use these platforms. Another entity is like property. So properties are like the people who owns the property, or like, because Airbnb is a platform where user can interact and stay in a property for a day or two or rent the property. So these property are the this entity describes the property that host will own or the user will stay in. Another property is host. So the host are the person who will let you stay in their property, or they will rent the property for a day or two. So these are the hosts. Another property is booking. So as you are a user and you will stay in that place for a day or two, you will book the place first before staying in. So that what booking is about. Another entity is transaction. So before booking, you would like to pay for the stay you for the place you will stay in. This entity describes the transaction that will happen between you and the host that will lead to booking. Another one is amenity. So amenities, because you will stay in a place, there will be objects or there will be a lot of uh, things that you will require to while staying in that place. Like you might need a pillow, you might need a towel. These all things that make your stay better and your experience better, these are called as amenity, and that this entity would describe that those objects. Another one would be the review. Review entity is all about you as a user giving review to the host as well as the property. Like, how was your experience? Was it good? Was it bad? This entity will describe that review of yours. Now we will talk about the attributes of this Airbnb project or these entities. So as I told before, attributes are like characteristics of the entity. So attributes are like characteristics of the entity. So these characteristics describe the entity and what and will help you distinguish from one entity from another. So the first attribute of user is UID. So UID is a primary key. So what exactly is primary key? Primary key in DBMS is actually a set of information or data which has to be very unique, and it should not be left null. Left null means it should not be empty. It should always contain some kind of information. That is what primary key is. Moreover, primary key can be only one in whole uh, table or structure. So in this entity, primary key will only be one, and that will be UID, because it will be very unique and specific to every person that will use this platform. Another attribute is name. That is what, like, the name of the user. Then the email. Both name and email should be not null. That means it should always have some kind of information uh, stored. Moreover, email will always be unique. Unique in sense it will always have some kind of information that will be different from one person to another. Now the other will be password. The password of the user authentication, phone number, and date of birth. uh, One of the attribute that can be derived from date of birth is the age, and thus it is called as a derived key or derived attribute. Now we will talk about property. So the property represents, like I told, list the properties that are listed on Airbnb, which are hosted by the host. So the first attribute is PID. Again, this is a primary key because it is very unique and specific to the one specific property. Another will be uh, title. Like, what exactly is the title of the property? That means what is the name given to that property. Now it will have the description. I'm sorry about that. So another will be the description, like what is that property about, how would it look like, what will it contain. All the description here will be entered here. Then the property has another attribute which is called as location. Like what is the address of that property? Again, this specific location will be unique because it will be very different from other properties. No two properties can have same location. Yes, they can have same area, but they cannot have same address. Now, price per night. Like what would be the price of the location per night or per stay? And last is rating. What is the rating given to the property? That what it's talk about. Now we will talk about host. So as I told you, host represents a person who is hosting the property on the Airbnb. So again, it will have HID, primary as primary key, and it will have uh, a lot of foreign keys like user ID uh, and property ID, but we are not going to include it right now because it is an ER diagram. In ER diagram, we do not really showcase the foreign keys. Moreover, it will have host description, like it will have description of the person who is hosting their property. Then it will have host rating, like rating of the person or like a bio or like overall rating of the person based on their property or based on their way of talking or interacting with their customers. Now we have booking entity. So booking, as I told, represents a booking made by a user for the property. This will have BID or the booking ID as the primary key. It will also have foreign keys like property ID, PID, and user ID, UID. Uh, then it will have check-in date, like when did the uh, person is going to check in or checked in, and checkout date, like exactly when the person is going to check out from the booking, and the total price. These all should be not null because these are very important uh, for the person to know, like when did they checked in, when did they checked out, because it helps in calculating the total price of the stay. Mm. Now we will talk about review. So review represents like a review left by the user on a property. So we will first of all again have RID as the primary key. Then we will have uh, rating, like rating given by the user to that specific property. Moreover, we have comment. Moreover, we have comment. Comment can be multi-value because a person can leave as many as comment he wants to on that property. So it will be multi-value, whereas rating will be not null because it should because well, rating should not be not null because it always should contain some kind of rating to the property. Now we will talk about amenity. So amenity, as I told, represents like a feature or objects available at that property. So the first will be the AID or amenity ID, that would be the primary key. Then we will have amenity name, like what exactly is the name of that or the description of that amenity. Now we will talk about transaction. So the transaction it represents like a transaction related to booking. So first of them is TID, again the primary key of the transaction entity. Then it will also have many keys like booking ID, BID, and UID, but we would not include that here right now. So Another would be the amount, like the amount of the transaction, payment status, like what is the status of the payment for the transaction, and timestamp. And and we will have time timestamp, like timestamp of the transaction, or like when did it happen, so that we can updated keep ourselves updated when the transaction actually happened. So that is what our structure would look like. Now I would like to tell you about the or the relationships first. So before telling you the relationships, I would like to explain the meaning of each boxes, so it would be helpful for you to understand why I'm using it. The first one is rectangle. Rectangle stores the entity. Entity. Now, whereas sphere stores like an attribute of the given entity. Last is relationship. So as I told, relationships are like the interconnection between the entities, two or more entities, and it will be stored by this diamond shape. Now, attribute can be of two more other types, and they are like if the entity is dash, that means it is derived from the given. If the attribute is dash, that means it is derived from a very given or specific attribute. Moreover, if it is like double, that means it is multi-value. That means it can store more than one value within itself. Now let's talk about relations. So the first relation that comes in DBMS or ER diagrams is one to many relation. So one to many relation mainly means uh, it is a kind of a relation where one entity or one specific object is related to many other objects. So, for example, in this diagram, or in my AIRBNB project, as we can see that one user can do multiple booking on multiple properties. So user user will have one to many relationship with the booking. Why? Because user can do multiple booking uh, on the property. Moreover, host can have multiple properties. So again, it will be a one to many relation. Why? Because host can have multiple kind of properties. So our one to many relations are user, user, and booking. Another one would be host property, because a host can uh, have multiple properties. It can own multiple properties. You list multiple properties in Airbnb. Again, property and booking will also have one to many relation, because one property can have multiple booking on it. Like multiple users can actually book that property. It depends on the host which user booking he wants to accept or not. Another one would be user and review. A user can give multiple reviews, as many as possible, and property will also have multiple can also have multiple reviews. So it will also have one to many relationship. Now we will talk about another kind of relationship, that is one to one. So one to one relationship, it is like one entity or one object would be related to only one object. So example of this can be one user can have only one host account. A user can or cannot be a host also. So only one account would be given, one host account would be given to one user. So the example of this is user and host, because only one user can have one host. Another example would be booking and transaction. That is because only each booking results to only one transaction, because we do only one transaction while booking. We do not do very multiple bookings. So one booking by a user will lead to one transaction only. Last relationship is many to many relation. So here, many to many relation means the person or the entity can have many entities can have many relation with each other. So here the example would be property and amenity. So property and amenity will have many to many relation, because one property can have multiple amenities, and multiple properties can have one amenity. That means uh, one property can store different kind of same amenities, and one amenity can be available at every property possible. So that is why it is like a many to many relationship, because each amenity can be associated with multiple properties. Relationship. So this is what my ER diagram would look like for my project on Airbnb. So the first, as I told you, was the user, and it will have attributes like age, DOB, date of birth, email, UID, phone number, and name. As UID is the primary key, we will represent it as an underlined attribute, because primary key have an underline in the ER diagram usually. Moreover, age is derived from date of birth, and as I told, age, the derived keys or derived uh, attributes are often represented with dash circle. Now, it will have a relationship with the host. So one user can be associated to only one host. That means one user can have only one host account, that whereon it will can host their property. Now the host will have primary key, HID, the host description, and the host rating. Now host owns the property. Now one host can own multiple property. As you can see, the host has a relationship with the property, that it owns the property. It has a one-to-many relationship with the property. Now property will have different attributes. It will have the property title, it will have property price, it will have property rating, the description, and the essential one, PID, that is the primary key of the property, which will be different from each property. Now, property will be associated with many multiple reviews, because one user can give multiple reviews. Moreover, many user can also give multiple reviews on one property. So one property is associated with many reviews. That is the relationship between property and review. Now, review will have attributes like RID, or the review ID, which is primary key, rating, and content. So content here is multi-valued, because content can be different. We can comment on or we can, while giving review, we can comment on the property as many times as possible. That's why it will be multi-valued. So one property will be associated to multiple reviews. Moreover, user will also have a relationship with the review. Why? Because one user can give multiple reviews on one ID, or maybe on different kind of one property, or maybe different kind of property. That is why we will have many to one uh, relationship between the review, because many uh, user can give multiple review on the property. Now, user one user can do multiple booking, because it can do multiple booking on multiple properties, or even on one properties. So one user will do multiple booking, so it will have one to many relationship. And here the booking will have BID, that is the booking ID, or the primary key, status of the booking, check-in time, check-out time, and total price. Now, booking, what exactly we are going to book, that is the property. So we will have one to many relationship between property, and many to one relationship between property and booking, because many booking can be done on one property. Now, booking will also have another relationship with the transaction, because, and as I told, only one booking, one transaction can be associated or leads to booking, because while doing transaction, we only do one transaction while booking. So that is why it will have one to one relationship. And transaction as an entity will have attributes like TID, which is the primary key, timestamp, and amount. Now, last is the property and amenity relation. That is, one property can have multiple amenity, and it is actually many to many relationship. So property, so many property can consist of many amenity. Now the amenity entity will have uh, primary key, AID, and amenity name. So that is what my ER diagram would look like. I hope I was able to tell you exactly about my database management project. Thank you for being here in this journey. Thank you.